let's go ahead and start. Looking at the driver's list, we already noticed that Pat Gooden is a driver. So we already know there's some changes. Let's go ahead and start off with the judges. So what are the changes that drivers can expect when it comes to the being judged this year?
So it's no secret, Pat got a really good opportunity this year to drive for another team. Just so everybody's upfront and aware, Pat's not returning, neither is Greg. But there's no bad blood between us or Pat. Pat and I were really good friends before this. We're going to be really good friends after this. Like there was no big blowout or anything. He just got a really good offer, and he's an extremely talented driver. He's a driver first, judge and everything else second. So for him to turn this down would have been, I mean, there's no way I would have told him to turn this down to come back to us. That being said, we have locked in all three of our judges for 2021. Will Parsons is going to be returning. Officer Dan Brockett is actually going to be filling in.
Oh, okay. Awesome. There you go. That's going to be exciting.
Two. Awesome.
Is he going to be handing out citations? No. I'm curious. It'd be great.
That would
like, you went off track.
Yeah, you get a 0 citation. Carry on. I'm sorry.
We're good. And then Dwayne Ramsey is actually going to be our third judge for 2021.
Nice. Nice.
That's exciting. Have all these drivers got to drive the track yet, or?
So Dwayne has been to, I believe, 2 of our events and driven. Dan was here for Drift Week.
Okay.
So he got to drive it during Drift Week. And then Will didn't drive it last year, but he drove my personal car for like 10 laps last year. So he's driven it too.
Yeah, because that's definitely key. Even as an announcer, I got to come up there I thought it was going to be the last fun day of the year, but it ended up being another one the following week because of the shutdown of the other one. So I didn't get to. I can't brag. I got the last event in of the year, but I was up there the second last event, and it is it's a whole nother thing to drive it than to just talk about it. So I was definitely excited, and I definitely will be at the. There's a lot of stuff going on this year, personal-wise and family-wise, but definitely we'll be up there this year to drive again, so I'm looking forward to that. So aside from the judges, what about the judging criteria? Is the layout, are the clipping points going to change, or is that something that you want to hold off until the first event, or is it going to be posted up prior to the event where people can see the layout? What's going on?
The layout will be up prior to the event. The layout for 2021, at least for round 1, is not substantially changing. We're still starting and ending in the same area. We're looking at making adjustments to the inner clip coming out of the first outer zone because I actually have the asphalt team up there working right now. We're adding a little bit more asphalt where the inner clip was, that in the event we decide not to move the clip further in, you at least have room to swing around it and swing out and not drop tires for this year. And then we're looking at the touch and go, potentially giving you a few more feet to get into the touch and go and out. For some of the lower horsepower cars, especially the Z's and stuff, when I was driving them, it's really hard to stretch it out to that touch and go and not scrub a substantial amount of speed, at least to me. So when the judges get here for round 1, we're going to explore that option. Other than that, for round 1, everything is staying the same.
Okay. So basically anything about as far as criteria that's going to change, spinning 0, like what's going to define a 0 or a major corrections, or all those going to basically be the same as well?
So pretty much everything is the same as last year, minus the points we award for each category. For this year, style and angle have been flipped. So style had, I think, 40 points last year. I think this year now has 30, and then we flipped it the other way where angle now has 40 instead of 30.
Okay.
So just because style at our track it's extremely subjective in general, but at our track specifically, we have such a wide variety of drivers. There was a few instances, I think last year, at least in my personal opinion, that guys got docked for just being a little too stylistic and using a lot of angle when it really didn't slow their car down. But the way we did judging last year, we gave each judge a specific category. And so this year we just tried to do it to where it was more balanced, the points would be more balanced, it was more fair across the board. And so we'll try that for round 1, and hopefully it's a little bit smoother than it was last year.
That's a good point to bring up because of the difference in cars. I mean, you have pro cars, you have grassroots cars, you have almost stock cars going out there, and style would be kind of a hard thing to show off when your car is stock. You're just trying to get it around the track as best as you can. So I think that's a good change you guys made there. You know, and there's, you know, it's awesome. The drivers are now going to be, you know, able to drive the track the way they feel more comfortable.
Yeah, and I was speaking with Josh Mason about a week or so ago. We had a good conversation. Josh he's a good guy, and he was telling me what he loved about the event as well is that, and I don't know if this is going to carry over to this season, but I know last season he said that with much is expected. So if you have a pro car, the judges are expecting more, and if you're not delivering that expected more, it's almost like it counts against you. It seemed like last season. Is that something that you think that's going to kind of carry over this season as well?
Yeah, so talking to Will a little bit behind the scenes, I haven't done a lot of talking to Dan or Dwayne yet. Outside of the events, I talked to both of them at Drift Week and the last event that Dwayne was at. But we'll reconvene Thursday before the event, and I'll kind of have a conversation about it. But I plan on having that carried over to the events this year. I don't think it's fair to expect the same thing out of like Alaconadale and Taylor, or sorry, let me rephrase that. I don't think it's fair to expect something out of a local driver in a stock Z with an angle kit, the same I would expect it out of like Taylor Hole or Alaconadale or somebody like that, regardless of what car they're in. Like Alec proved that you can bring out an angle kit and a Z on nitrous and still podium. So that took the argument out of the equation right there of like, it's pro car, pro driver. No, pro driver is just a pro driver. Like he's extremely skilled in any car. So I expect more of them in general, and I think the judges for 2021 will as well.
Okay. Now, what do you have a question, Ben?
Yeah, regarding the start line. Obviously, this past year, remember, you had the points dropping down.
Oh, yeah, they can jump, and
the chase guy could jump ahead while are there any changes regarding the start line, pretty much?
Yes. So 2021, there is no more arm drop start, period. We actually prototyped the light at the Fun Day with some of the competition drivers that were there. We'll have a full lighting system in place for 2021. There is no delay off the start line this year. You'll have 5 lights that come on. When they go off, you go or you get restarted.
Okay. What about the one more run?
So OMT for this year is going back to a full battle, and there are no limitations on how many times they can go one more time. So you'll get your full lead run, your full chase run. If they still don't deem a winner after that, then you can go one more time again and again.
Okay. So there will be no pressure on the judges. It's going to be, you got to win it, right?
Yeah. And also there was, all right, so something that happened, I think it was at the final round with Ben Julian. He spun out at the end of his run, but going on the opposite direction of
after the finish.
Yeah, after the finish. So is that something you guys are adjusting, or it's going to be the same?
Nope. For 2021, that is going to stay the same. Mostly just because, one, it's kind of a safety thing for the chase driver. I expect the chase driver coming across the line to be up on somebody's car. If they go 5 feet past the finish line fully angled out and spin, there's a good chance the chase driver is going to hit them. And then 2, it stops you from going through the finish line on the foot brake at big angle and then just spinning going through the line, because you can hold it at the very ragged edge for a few seconds and then just let it go and not pull out of it. So you still have to unwind just like you did last year. You still have to come out of drift cleanly. If you spin out or any of that across the finish line, it's still going to be a 0.
Good point.
Now, what about, and I don't remember if we had this issue last year, and I don't remember what the ruling is on it. So if the one of the drivers spins, is the other driver required to finish the lap, or if the first person spins at 0, you automatically move on?
So same as we did last year. If the chase driver spins out, the lead driver is still required to finish the run, assuming that it wouldn't be something that caused like harm to the lead driver. Like if the chase car passed them for some reason and spun out, or you know, whatever, or like went through the field, was blocking, you know, the final turn or something, they're not required to finish the run. But presumably nothing happens. Lead car has to finish their run no matter what. If the lead car was to spin out, the chase car is not required to finish their run.
Right, because it's
Right.
it's spun in front of you.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. Now, what about qualifying? I heard a couple different things with qualifying. Is qualifying how's that going to work? Because I heard mention of possibly the top 16 qualifiers automatically locking in the top 16 spots. Is that something that you guys are going to be changing?
No, so for 2021, we had pitched a couple ideas of the way we wanted to split the field. Originally, we weren't going to take as many drivers, and we were going to possibly do like 48 and then do some buy runs or whatever. But we just deemed it easier to try and not reinvent the wheel with certain things like we tried to do last year. So this year, there's an 80 driver cap across the board. We're only going to take 64 in qualifying. So
Nice.
top 64 qualifiers will get through, and then it'll battle 64 to 32, 32 to 16, just like we did last year.
Okay. Now, what happens and I'm just going to throw a scenario at it because I've seen it in SWD and when we're going back where you get really only like top 59, right? Because everybody else zeroed out. It's just then you're going to just have to do buy runs, unfortunately, at that point, right?
Yeah, same thing we did last year. That's why we took 80 drivers this year. Last year, we hard capped it at 64. And the issue was there was a few rounds where we sold out all 64, but guaranteed every round somebody double zeroed or somebody's car broke or something happened. And then we ended up having somewhere between like 4 and 15 buy runs depending on the round. So we're going to try and eliminate that this year as much as we can. If for some reason we still have double faults or we can't qualify 64, then the top whatever would just get buy runs.
Okay.
Okay.
What contingency plans do you have in place for extreme weather?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember that.
Umbrellas.
Yeah.
Yeah, so about that. So that question actually came up a lot after the hurricane problem last year.
Yeah.
We don't know if it'll be done for round one because we're kind of on a cold weather time crunch thing right now with getting asphalt work done. But we were looking into the first turn getting a full drain put in under the turn. So in the event water hit the turn, it would just go underneath and flow out. That probably won't be available for round one. But we've also got gravel and sand being put in around the edges of the track under the dirt to at least try and disperse the water a little bit better and not just create, crazy rivers like it had last year. The weather, I mean, we ran through a hurricane last year and we managed to get through it, I think, pretty good. So as long as we can get a break in the weather, I can usually have the track ready to go in about 30 minutes. So I don't really see a scenario where we couldn't figure out something to get an event done. But we are going to try and put the drain in for rounds 2 and on.
Now we're going to get hit. We're going to get hit with Sharknado now. You know that, right? Sharks flying out of the sky.
Yeah, I was freaking out. I thought I was going to fly away with the tent. I was like, please, make it stop.
Yeah, that was pretty intense. That was, but definitely a good memory for sure.
Now, kind of not about judging, but more on the technical side. Are there any changes to the technical regulations that from last year? Like what can be done to the car, what has to be done?
I wouldn't say there's any major changes. We've reworded some things because we had a couple issues last year with like headlight, taillight, brake light things. I had mandatory kill switches and other stuff in the rule book last year that we kind of modified after round one because we did have to take into account that we had a lot of guys register street cars. For this year, since we're no longer a new series, the rulebook I think has been we've updated it a lot more, made it a little bit harsher. So kill switches are now mandatory across the board. Does not matter. I think that's the only thing that's really changed. Minus you have to have functional headlights, taillights, and brake lights at all times.
Okay.
If you we had an issue last year where somebody started the event with them. They had a wiring fault midway through the event. They went into a battle last year, and then they ran without the headlights, not knowing. Then we had like a big argument and like a dispute thing about it. So for this year, they've got to work 24/7. And then we added in an additional rule this year where basically if you start the event and your car passes tech, or for some reason you get something by the tech team, that does not mean that you don't have to abide by the rule. You and your team are responsible for your car round to round and battle to battle. So if it breaks during the event, that sucks. You have until the next battle to fix it.
Oh, okay. And as far as the 5 minute rule, are you how many timeouts or chances does somebody get? They only get 1 5 minute.
So they only get 1 5 minute timeout. pending they actually have to take a timeout, and then they have either 10 minutes or 15 minutes for an impact thing, depending on the situation. Like Alec had something last year where his taillight got knocked out on track by a cone, which wasn't really his fault or the other driver's fault. So for that, he got 10 minutes to put his taillight back in. And then if you get damage to your car done by either a lead or chase driver and it's deemed their fault, then you have 15 minutes to fix it.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay. Now you mentioned that there's not going to be a hand drop start. Since it's going to be a lighted start, a tree that's going to be sending the cars off. Are you going to have like the chicane for that lead driver, or is a chase driver still allowed to jump the light?
So the chase driver is still allowed to jump the light. That's one of the main reasons we put the lighting system in, because I feel like with the arm drop thing last year and the delay, there was a big gamble for the chase driver's part to jump the light, because there was no guarantee when the arms went down that whoever was on the line was going to leave right when the arms went down. So like we gave them the window where we were like, hey, you have between 0 and 2 seconds to leave the line. Some guys might leave in half a second. Some guys might take the full 2 seconds. And as a chase car, it's hard to like judge that. So for this year, they can jump the line. There should be no fears about, well, I can't jump the light because don't know if they're going to leave. They have to leave. Light goes off. They have to move.
Okay, so they don't get to sit there for 2 seconds.
No, so there is absolutely zero delay for 2021.
Okay.
Lights go off, you move, you roll, like leave the start line like normal. If you leave like a bat out of hell 9 times out of 10, and 1 out of 10 times you decide to like mosey on the line, we're just going to call a restart.
Good.
Nice. Yeah. So no sandbagging. Awesome.
Yeah.
And
Interesting.
as far as I know, as of right now, I'm the one who's personally going to be watching to do the restart thing. And I have a button on the same remote that's on a light that's going to trigger a light in the first turn. So like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like we'll just call the restarts.
I thought you were going to say it was a button that's going to eject the driver's seat or something. Or actually, I thought you were going to keep no in check.
Yeah.
Since you're our fact checker over here.
Yeah, fact checker, right? That's funny. So you came up with basically you were saying before that you're like the man, right? When it comes to you wrote the rule book and the judging. That's basically all you for the most part, right?
Yeah, rule book, judging criteria, stuff like that. I generally write it. Now I still collab with the team. Like we all kind of sit in a circle and put ideas on paper. There's a few people outside of our direct team, like Webb Travis and like Nick Swan, my judges, stuff like that. We obviously all collab on different aspects of it, and we kind of all proof it before it goes out. But the initial renditions usually all me.
Okay. Aside from the judges change up a little bit. As far as the Klutch Kickers crew, any new additions that you guys have?
2021, the staffing is pretty much staying the same. We've just switched some people around. So like Greg's no longer judging for us, but he's still working on some stuff with us behind the scenes, doing some like marketing and sponsorship stuff. Nick Swan is still going to be with us for 2021. He's just not going to be running the grid from the line. Essentially for this year, Swan and I are going to split responsibilities, because last year it was really hard for me to deal with like the bracket and helping with the live stream and keeping everything straight and pay attention to what's going on the track and in the pits. So Swan's going to basically run all the on-track stuff this year, while I'm going to run basically all the behind-the-scenes stuff this year.
That's all right. So you guys can focus more on individual instead of being spread too thin. So that's going to make things more efficient.
It was just kind of weird. Like last year, I'd be in the judges tower, like doing bracket updates or doing the qualifying scoring or whatever, and somebody might call a 5-minute timeout, and then I have to like try and keep in the back of my head, okay, hey, somebody go catch this 5-minute timeout while trying to do other things, and it just seemed to be a lot of like trying to bounce around and keep stuff organized was really hard. So
yeah.
Another question I had is, and this was a question that I got from a couple drivers, is so there are some drivers that drive at far distance, and I believe you guys do actually supply or offer, I think is it Mike, I believe, that Michael that has an area where if somebody wants to store their car for the full season or even for a couple seasons, they actually do have you guys do have a place for them to store a car. Is that correct?
Yeah, so for 2021, we've looked into a couple different options with that too. Our crew chief, who's going to be running Nick's program this year, so I can kind of stay focused on the 100K series. He's got a shop in Dothan, which is about an hour and 45 minutes from the track. I think he said he could store up to 20 cars there for the season, if need be.
Nice.
We have a shop in Fort Walton Beach where, if need be, I could keep somewhere between 2 and 4 in addition to ours. And then we are also looking at getting some on-site containers potentially for 2021 for people who wanted to leave them at the track.
That's a good
Wow.
idea. Yeah, some Connex boxes. Yeah.
Yeah. Now the containers are not a guarantee yet. We haven't really looked into that, and we'd have to figure that out with the driver or whatever the case may be. But if somebody wanted to leave one and store it, we have like the resources.
Okay, that's good.
Nice.
Any changes or anything different in regards to the whole the process of protesting a call or anything like that?
No, the process is pretty much staying the same. The only difference is this year the price has gone up significantly.
Oh.
Only because like last year we charged $80 to win the championship points. The problem with the low amount is if you had a team of 5 people, we had people that would just have their team members throw in $20 and they'd protest kind of just to get the feedback or to see what happened or just take the off chance to get it overturned. And it really delayed the event last year because we overturned 1 protest all year long.
Wow. Okay.
So it's like, if you're going to protest, we really want you to think about it, do your research, not just be like, okay, it's only $80, give it up. We're just going to do it and see what happens. So this year it's $250 to protest.
Oh,
Nice.
oh yeah, you want to
agree.
protest? All right, we'll give us some money.
I agree. That's a good move.
Oh, that's
It's a good
funny.
move. So I mean, it just means that like, hey, I for sure should have won that. So yeah, I'll pay up because that wasn't fair. Whatever they want to think, but it's just I mean, it's a time waster. Like if you're just like, oh yeah, it was close. Maybe you should go one more time. No,
Yeah.
dude.
Any new camera angles that we're gonna have this year for the judges to be able to pick apart people's runs?
Yeah, so I was actually going to comment on that too. Last year after round 1, we implemented the drones.
Mm-hmm.
Well, for 2021, we'll have both drones flying. We have like almost 10 different camera angles on the track between the live stream and our direct media.
Oh wow.
Nice.
Which we had rounds 3 through 5 last year. And the protest we overturned, I think, was at round 2 before we had everything, which is the main reason we looked into like the new cameras and stuff. So the reality is if you're going to protest, the chances that they got a call wrong based on all the footage they're going to look at before they make a call would be really slim.
Right.
Right.
So like if you're going to protest, just make sure it's worth it. I mean, like
Yeah.
we like I said, we have like almost 10 different camera angles to look at, and they generally look at least the live stream and the drones before they make a call. So
Right. So now, if the call gets overturned, do they get their money back, or they?
yes. Okay. So if for some crazy reason somebody protested and it got overturned, they would get their money back.
Oh, okay. That's good to know. At least. Yeah.
Okay. Now, in regards to the media that's out on the track, are there any changes as to like where they can and can't go, or is it roughly the same?
No, we've made some bigger changes to media for 2021. So I think the biggest one that Matt and Austin decided they wanted to do was last year, if you applied for media because we were new and we thought you were decent at media, we basically approved you, you got a vest, you got free access to the track just so we could kind of blow up the series. The more exposure we get, the better. The problem with that was then we had people everywhere. So this year, we're only doing 10 pre-approved people per event to go on the track. If you want to shoot from outside the track, have at it. But so there's only 10 people that'll get an actual like Klutch Kickers media vest this year. We're going to put more barriers in place for media this year. There's absolutely no media allowed in the last turn at all that's not for the live stream. Just because there's always the possibility of what happened to Taylor happening to somebody else where they go off track and it just pulls the car that way. And then you're no longer allowed to lay down, which I don't even know what people were doing this to begin with. You're no longer allowed to lay down in the track to take pictures or videos.
Oh, I hope our Wrangler was listening to that.
No more laying down. Oh.
So I'm kind of new to media. I'm not like a giant camera guy. I'm just not getting into it. But like to me, that just seems really not smart. I don't know.
It's the angles, man. It's the angles.
Yeah, it's all about the
That's the
angles.
only way you can get those crazy sick angles.
Yeah, we actually have Ryan Deering. He just came in, joined us. He's gonna fill in the second half, and that's where we met him. He's a media guy. He's taking pictures, and then he took it upon himself to, hey, I'm not gonna just take pictures.
No, I actually agree. Yeah, there's no reason to be laying down around drift cars,
No.
especially. And I've seen I've only been filming for like a year. I've seen enough go wrong that and I was right there when Taylor almost went off track and Caitlin was right there.
Yeah.
And it could have been way worse than it was if Taylor wasn't as good of a driver as he is. I'd say for sure, because he pulled out pretty well.
Yeah.
As far as the media, because I know some venues, they'll make the media guys actually forfeit over their footage as well. Is that anything that you guys are requiring? No?
No, with us, a lot of the media people that we work with, we tend to share media back and forth anyways. But we don't require them to submit their media to us. We have our own full-time media team on site. We believe that people like Robert Goodwin and Ryan and a few other people who do this, they need to make money at it too. So for them to have to give us the footage to use and not be able to sell it, to me seems kind of counterintuitive. But
Right.
I've seen it in the past, though, on certain events, and I know it upset quite a few photographers, and they didn't want to come back, which justly
Yeah,
so, right?
it makes total sense. And why you don't want to come back? Yeah, that's nice of you guys. I mean, you're supporting, you're getting support from the media, and you're supporting the media as well. So that's awesome to see you guys work as a community together.
Any other? I mean, I think we went over pretty much everything that I want to go over. But is there anything else that sticks out in your head that maybe you want people to know? One, as spectator wise, and also as a driver.
Nothing's jumping out at me. I mean, I feel like we covered a wide variety of topics, and we didn't change a whole lot from 2020 to 2021. We just kind of fine-tuned the things that we think people didn't like the most. Mm-hmm. Obviously for 2021, we wanted to add more layouts and do a bunch of other stuff, but just the reality is the series is extremely expensive to put on, and with COVID happening and people kind of coming in and out of the industry right now, it's, we're lucky to even be able to have a second season right now and be able to go through it, let alone trying to make it, substantially better than last year. So I think just like everybody else right now, we're just trying to do what we can to improve it little by little while we can.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you something. So, and I found this funny. How fast did it take for those first 40 season spots to fill? I mean, I think it went up for sale, and I think it was like 30 people had already registered, within the
within
quickly,
2 hours or so.
So it was kind of weird. It didn't fill as fast as we thought. For some reason with our events, people always think they're going to fill super quick, and it's not that we don't fill them. We just don't fill them instantly. The first 40 spots, we sold the majority of them, I would say, within the first 48 hours. And the last 10...
That's unbelievable. You got to think about that. It's your second season, right? Yeah. I mean, and that's unheard of. That was another thing that I was talking to Josh Mason about. He's like in California, he's going to these events, and he said, you maybe get 2 or 3 guys that pre-register. He goes, the other 80 to 90% of the drivers, they usually pay the day before or the day of the show to see an event at this it's this caliber filling up 48 hours. I mean, that's
so nuts.
It's almost like it's it's a Black Thursday sale, Black Friday sale.
But it's not just one event; it's for a series.
That's
of
what I'm
events
saying.
for a whole year,
right?
Yeah, that's even crazy.
Major commitment.
Yeah.
We feel like we offered a good incentive this year, though. Last year, there was really no incentive to buy the season. It was you got a little bit of a discount to buy all 5 rounds, but it wasn't crazy. This year, if you bought the season, you're guaranteed to be able to fight for the championship money this year. Whereas last year, if you just registered for any event, you could be in contention.
So that's the difference. Okay.
Yeah.
So that one guy that wants to show up and he wants to kind of throw the wrench in, for somebody that's possibly taking out a driver that's in contention. That's that wild card, but he's not going to have the chance to win the season anyway. So it's going to be a bunch of wild cards.
Anybody out?
Right.
Okay, so Chelsea can't come in like he did and just wreck house and.
He can.
That and it made it really hard last year because I'm also the one that keeps track of the point series. I had 142 different drivers on my list at the end of the season last year.
Holy cow!
I think about going through that round to round, trying to figure out the math and do all the points, and I'm like, it's kind of silly because the guy who's in 120th spot has absolutely no chance of being in the top 5.
Right.
Course,
so he shouldn't be able to take the points away from somebody else.
Yeah.
Right. So that, and then I think the only other big thing that's going to change for this year, which we haven't released, is, and I'm not going to say how it's going to change yet, but the drivers will be getting more practice time this year. I'm just not going to release how yet.
Yeah. I mean, I did notice they are 3-day events now. But
it's not the 3-day thing.
So
the 3-day thing tripped everybody out. Mm-hmm. The only reason we did it Friday, Saturday, Sunday is because at the first 4 rounds, they were running the drag strip Friday night. So it made it extremely hard to get drivers in, get the big toter homes in, get them unloaded, try and get them pre-teched and everything. So this year we basically just booked the track for 3 days in a row so that way Friday nobody else could run.
So Friday, what times are rolling on Friday? I mean, I know they could basically show up all night because you guys are there all night long anyways, but...
Yeah, so generally we open the gates about 3 p.m. for driver load-in, which seemed to work pretty good last year. I think the only person that ever beat me there was Thomas Miata, and it's because they leave on Tuesday. So gates usually open about 3. This year we're going to do something different where we're actually going to open tech about 5:30. So all the drivers that are there Friday night will get completely pre-teched if they wish. We highly encourage it to make Saturday go a lot quicker and a lot smoother. And then Friday nights basically just we'll hang out, chat, catch up from last year, talk about the event. The judges will be on site if you have any questions for them. My entire team, my boss, Swan, will be on site if you got any questions for us.
Okay. And event sponsors, are there any new event sponsors this year?
There are several new ones, but they're not 100% finalized and locked in yet, so I'm not allowed to give them out yet.
Okay. All right. And as far as hotel wise, it's basically whatever's around the area, or do you guys have a specific hotel you guys are?
So we're still pairing up with the Island for 2021. They're coming back on board to support not just the series but our programs. So we'll have a discounted hotel link for them. Still going to have the after party there. It is a good ways from the track. We know it's about 45 minutes, but believe me, this day that hotel is insane. In-ground grotto bar in the pool, 3 different buildings overlook the ocean. They're super nice. But there are 2 or 3 really nice hotels in Crestview too if you want to stay closer to the track.
Yeah, that's what I think we have.
I got a question. How do you muster up the energy to attend the after party after running for a whole weekend? I'm curious.
So this is a hot topic between my boss and I, because every event for us, it doesn't just end when the event ends. We still have to clean up the track that night. Still got to pack all the trailers and rigs, get them all back to Fort Walton, and then go to the after party. Don't get me wrong, it's not necessarily the easiest thing in the world, but it is kind of nice to just go and hang out with Troy Manners and some of the other teams that just go and hang out and just kind of unwind after the weekend. With the schedule this year, though, there's a good chance that we're probably going to basically just send certain people to each after party and then guarantee that we'll all be at the round 5 one. But we just kind of have to. I mean, to me, it's kind of weird to have an event all weekend and talk to all these guys and put on this big show for them and then not show up just to hang out with them at the after party when it's 5 feet from my house.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. I got a question. What about food trucks? Are we gonna have more variety of food? Are we gonna have more variety of food?
This is a question that I'm most interested in.
I really got upset because there was a Chick-fil-A tent there, and I was like, "Oh, there's Chick-fil-A." I get over there, it's just a bunch of people hanging out.
No, that's just Ethan. Yeah, that's just Ethan.
So it's so hard because one, our on-site concession lady, Miss Sherry, is actually opening up her own little restaurant at the track. So she's gonna be doing way more than just your typical. She used to run a diner, so she's bringing all the diner foods.
Oh, okay,
nice.
But we try this every event. We have Chop Chop Bistro and
that was good.
People that we asked to come out, and then food trucks in our area are kind of hard because we're sandwiched between 3 military bases, and a lot of them go to the bases on the weekends. And it's really hard to beat the bases. I mean, the military, they blow money like it's going out of style. So,
yeah.
We're trying. I mean, we invite different people every round, so we're hoping to have more out there, but
maybe we get
nothing I can guarantee.
Like a hot dog cart next to the line,
That'd be good.
Yeah, so you can get the hot dog while you're waiting in line, down a couple hot dogs, a couple wieners before you start. That'd be kind of cool.
I hear Mike Pollard wants to bring his own chicken wings and stuff for 2021, so maybe he'll be doing something too.
Ready for that.
Drift HQ always has a lot of food going on too.
Yeah. Savio can really grow.
Yeah, Savio really grows.
He gets down.
Savio registered for round 1, so I know there'll be steaks at round 1.
Exactly.
Wait, you said Mike Pollard's going to have wings, so is he going to call it Magic Wings, maybe?
I don't know. He made a joke last year. He was about cooking something up and selling it between battles and runs and something, and we were go for it. We thought it'd be kind of funny. So,
Well, let's see if it happens.
Hey, can you imagine there's there's a draw in the judge's decision, so for them to actually settle it, they have to go into a cook-off? That'd be great.
I don't know if any of the judges can cook, but that'd be kind of interesting.
Somebody's gonna get cut for sure.
Yeah. Tim, anything else, guys?
No, I think we covered everything we want. I don't know.
I'm surprised nobody in the chat has actually submitted any questions.
No.
I know. I'm kind of confused. Half the chat's my own team.
I figured some drivers would have questions
Ryan,
on the rules.
do you have any questions,
or-
Ryan? Any questions yet?
No, I figured the drivers would have questions on the rules and stuff, but they sound to me like pretty solid to what drivers would want, like for pure competition. So
Right.
yeah, sounds
Now-
really cool.
I am gonna ask: is there a driver coming into the series that you think is going to kind of mix things up, or just lay it all down and just kind of take it away from Taylor?
Um,
Why does it have to be Taylor?
Because he was
a
He's a
champion.
defending
'cause he's the
champ.
champion.
Oh, okay. All right. I guess.
Hold on. Let me pull up the drivers list.
I mean, you got Adam LZ. I mean, it's a stack list. You have
So-
Pat Gooden.
There was somebody new that registered this year that I was like, oh, this is going to be like a good like. So the weird thing is, I know some behind the scenes drivers that are contemplating coming out that are not registered yet that I know would shake things up, but I don't want to be the one to go, hey, this guy's coming and he's going to shake it up and like ruin it for him.
Right.
There is one dude who I know is going to register because I was going to let him drive my personal car in the competition series this year. That ended up leaving his car on the East Coast when he was here last time. That if he shows up, is really going to shake it up.
All right.
It's Brutsky. He won
He won
Pro 2,
last
so
year,
he's.
yeah.
I think he's entered, right?
Nope.
Was-
Dimitri and Brian both did not register yet. I've talked to them already. They're both kind of trying to figure out what to do with their 2021 program still. You know, with Dimitri winning the championship and
Now he's pro.
yeah, contemplating that Pro 1 jump and everything that happened with Wadman's car. Neither one of them are currently registered. I think Reese is going to be an interesting one.
Huh.
He was here for the Fun Day test in the Z, and I've seen some fast cars at that track. Taylor's Cadillac's really fast, but I would definitely say Reese's Z accelerates on the same pace going through the first turn.
Okay.
I know Mike Pollard's revamping his car this year.
Yeah,
Ah.
I heard about that.
That thing is mean.
I know some tricky stuff that's going on with Alec Conadale and his car for 2021.
Oh,
that
tricky,
is gonna
tricky.
Shake things up.
Oh boy.
Wow. And you have those other drivers that could just show up and have a stellar day, like Avocado. I mean, he can come up there and have a stellar day, right?
Yeah. Right.
And just take somebody out early.
Yeah, you got Randy Noah. You got. There's a ton of drivers. I mean,
I know.
Yeah,
So
Ben
many of them
Julian.
made changes to their cars this year too. There's so many of them made changes for 2021 that it's hard to go. Well, Taylor Ray did really good last year, but now he's got 130 more horsepower and he's on a way grippier tire and like.
Yeah.
How do you judge that now?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I got a question in the chat from Tyler Berry who says, "How late is load-in on Friday?"
we'll probably leave the track somewhere between 10 and 11:30. That's when we normally get done setting up and hanging out with everybody. You can load in after that. The gates will be open. We generally just ask that you don't unload your car in the event we have to move you in the morning. So we will have a more like detailed layout for the pits for 2021, where we're gonna basically put toter homes in one section, open trailers in another, and enclosed trailers in another. But the pit parking there, we're all aware, is kind of chaotic and can get a little hectic. So you can load in as late as you want. Just please don't unload if we're not there to park you.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. I mean, I think I got there one Fun Day. I think I got there like midnight or like 1 o'clock. I came in late because I was coming up, from down south here. And the gate was open. Nobody was really up. Some people were doing fires because it was freaking cold that night. But it was, I couldn't believe it. There's ice on my car when I woke up in the morning. I mean, what is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That we don't get that down
It's
here.
90 degrees down here.
Follow-up question from Tyler who wrote, "If I have a teammate at the track losing in on Friday, can he save my spot if I can make it? Loading, sorry. If he can't make it by 11."
Yeah, I would love to be able to say yes, but with the reality of the fact that we're probably going to have 70 plus drivers on the property, we try to not save spots for anybody. We ask that if you want to pit with somebody, you show up at the same time, or you pit off to the side and just don't unload until they get there, and then we'll park you guys together. It's incredibly difficult for us to try and skip spots, especially with teams, because like we have Jonathan Nairn and like Wadman, if he shows up, Alec Conadale, these guys come in with these big 100+ foot toter homes. It's really hard to leave spaces and try and get these guys in. So if you want to pit with somebody, either don't unload your stuff and we'll park you together, or show up at the same time.
Awesome.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Talk about Randy Noah. He actually submitted a question, which I guess shows that he's a little late to the party because he wrote, rules are run up with the new lights. It's like, buddy, we spoke about that like 30 minutes ago.
Yeah.
All right, super quick rundown on the light thing. We're gonna put out something in the next week or two where I basically type out the specifics on it. But the short rundown is all 5 lights are 3/4 of a second apart. They'll light up, evenly. They'll all go off. You go. Chase cars, feel free to jump the light. The lead car is required to leave when the lights go off. If they roll off, they stall, they do whatever off the line that looks funny. They don't go as fast as they normally would go. They have a delay. It's an automatic restart. If they stall, it's an automatic 0.
Oh.
Okay. And is the lighting system, is it a traditional drag racing Christmas tree or is it another style?
No, so it's a custom light that Zach Grant from Future Garage designed. It's got 5 LED lights that are about 3 inches apart, or about 3 inches around. They're about 2 inches apart on a little board. Have a remote, you trigger it. They just come on in a sequence and then they go off.
Awesome.
Oh, okay.
Awesome.
Nice.
All right.
Any other questions there, Ben?
No, not that I'm seeing, which is again strange. I mean, I figured they would have been.
Well, we
asking
just
more.
did a good job covering all the details.
I guess
Maybe that's what
so.
it did. We did a
Right.
good job asking all the
Such
right
a great
questions.
job.
Yeah. Ryan, any
I hope
questions?
I did a good job writing them. Maybe that's why. Maybe that's why I'm writing out.
Must have been.
Maybe they're a little shy. Ryan, any questions from you, from both driver and a media perspective?
Not really. I definitely want to get up there and drive sometime. I got to figure out how to get the FRS out there. And for autocross, I'd love to race.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they have the autocross. So is that autocross? Is that you guys as well, or is that a separate crew?
That's not us. We're really good friends with the 2 guys locally that run Race Chip USA. They're basically like the East Coast rep for Race Chip from overseas. They approached us about doing some autocross events at the track as a promotional thing for Race Chip. So basically, they run the events, they put them on, they do everything. We just help them market and do some media stuff for them, and then we just let them use the track.
Nice. Nice.
So that's all Race Chip America.
Nice.
Okay. Zach, any closing remarks?
If you haven't registered for round 1, you should definitely get into it because we're running out of spots quick, and hopefully we see everybody at round 1 and we have a great year.
Oh, we will.
Definitely.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we will
Absolutely.
for
Yeah.
sure.